So I'm the kind of person that runs out of gas a lot. Like in my car, I forget to fill up on a regular basis. I'm usually just running from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And so my days are so scheduled that I don't take the time that is needed in order to put gas in my car. I find it super inconvenient and kind of irritating. In fact, most of the time when I do fill up my car, I bribe one of my children to go out and fill up the car with gas. But before you know it, usually I'll run out of gas probably once or twice a year, and I'm stuck on the side of the road calling my husband or AAA to come bail me out. Now, this is not a habit that I am really necessarily proud of, but it's just probably kind of who I am. I find it really hard to try and break this habit. But here's another truth about me. I run out of gas in my own body too. I'm the kind of person that runs pretty hot. I want to do as much as I possibly can do in a day. And so oftentimes I find at the end of things that I am empty and I am tired. I find myself exhausted and completely worn out. And here's the thing about that truth is that I know that I'm not the only one. I know so many of you have found yourself just feeling empty. You see, we live in a culture that focuses on the hustle. We celebrate workaholism and the popularization of cell phones in the last 20 years. It's made it possible so that you can just work all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if you want to. In our culture, we haven't figured out yet how to let people slow down and take a rest, how to take a break, how to refuel themselves when they are empty. We, as a country, we believe that people are based on what they produce, that their worth is based on what they can achieve and accomplish in a day rather than who they are. I want you to think about it in two ways. Number one, when you used to ask people how they were doing, they would say, fine. But now, more often, when I ask people how they're doing, they'll say, busy. Oh, when did that shift happen in our culture? And number two, I want you to think about this too. When we look at our end of our lives, when we read obituaries, which I do because of the position that I work with in the church, when we read obituaries, it always talks about the deceased accomplishments, about all the things that they did in their life, the places where they worked, or the children that they had, or the trips that they took. It very rarely says things based on who their character was, like this person was kind or generous or patient or stubborn maybe. When we read an obituary and we reflect on somebody's life, it's all about what they have achieved in their life. It's all about this hustle. In the Bible, there's a group of people whose worth is determined by what they produce. And this group of people is called the Israelites. This people group, they ended up in Egypt because Joseph went there and he was sold into slavery, sent to Egypt. And then eventually the Israelites, there was a famine in the land. Joseph, he became friends with the Pharaoh. So the Israelites were invited to move into Egypt. But then a couple of generations passed and there was a new Pharaoh and a new group of Israelites. This new Pharaoh, though, was really threatened by the Israelites in that culture. And so he decided that he was going to enslave them. He was going to put them into slavery. And so their slavery, they were to build things. They were to produce shrines and monuments to this Pharaoh. And so their entire identity became about what they could achieve and accomplish. Even after God sends this guy Moses to come and free these Israelites from slavery, they still don't function well. These Israelites, they have spent their whole lives being about what they achieve. And so they complain to Moses. They say, we can't handle this kind of freedom. We need to go and be slaves. We need to achieve. So then God does something really kind. God sent some guidelines for them, the 10 Commandments as we know them, to teach them how they can be freed people. And the third of these commandments is that they have to take a rest. They have to remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. You see, God, in God's great wisdom, God never wanted our value or our worth or our identity to be wrapped up in our work ever. God's mandate of the Sabbath isn't just giving us an opportunity to rest. It gives us an opportunity to resist the messages of the world that say that we need to just go, 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 go all the time. It's a big act of love when God says, hey, my people, Slow down, breathe, take a break. Who you are is not based on your accomplishments, not based on any of that, but who you are is based on how I see you, how God sees you. You see, we are not designed or even honored when we live lives where we're running on empty. But God wants us to live these full, abundant lives. So God tells us that we have to stop and rest and trust God in this entire process. Now, here's the thing that I want you to know that I do understand. When you're working hard and you're trying to make ends meet, and you're parenting with kids at home, and you're working a job, you're doing all of these things, or you're taking care of an aging partner, and things are really, really busy. I know that sometimes it's hard to take an entire Sabbath day of rest. So I want to encourage you to take maybe mini Sabbaths. Take that little bit of time with your cup of coffee and just say, okay, God, my worth is not in what I do, but my worth is in how you see me. Little mini Sabbaths throughout the whole day to remind you that God has got you through all of it, through all the things that are to come, and that who you are as a child of God is more important than anything that you're going to ever accomplish. In a world that runs on empty, God wants to fill you up. As Jesus says in Mark chapter 6, what good is it for someone to gain the whole world, but then forfeit their soul? So take a Sabbath moment with me here today. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, whatever that looks like for you. Just breathe and know that God has got you in this life and then in the next. Amen.